And thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Peter Dubois. First tonight, a former Liberty man will spend 20 years in prison after being convicted on multiple counts of sexual assault of a minor.
65-year-old Wade Drew Brayman was arrested in 2019 on 7 counts of gross sexual assault and 1 count of aggravated assault. He was also charged with 1 count of failure to comply with the sex offender registry for 2 sexual-based convictions in other states. A jury convicted Brayman of repeatedly sexually assaulting a juvenile in his Liberty home. Testimony during the trial described how Brayman controlled that juvenile and her actions. The judge called Brayman's actions cult-like.
It doesn't seem like enough, but at the same time, it is, because everyone is now protected from him. He can't hurt anyone ever again.
Well, after serving his 20-year sentence, Brayman will have 4 years of parole. The judge said parole is normally used to rehabilitate an offender, but he said he had no hope that Brayman could be rehabilitated. He said the 4 years will be used to monitor him and protect the public.
A group that worked with the governor and legislative leadership to help craft gun reform bills in the wake of the Lewiston mass shooting is now suing the state and calling one bill allowed to go into effect without the governor's signature a bridge too far. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke with their executive director to learn more.
This law will have a ripple effect across rural Maine that people haven't even imagined.
David Trahan, the executive director for the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine, is talking about LD 2238, titled An Act to Address Gun Violence in Maine by Requiring Waiting Periods for Certain Firearm Purchases. After the Lewiston mass shooting, Trahan says he met with the governor and Democratic leaders to help craft meaningful legislation, including expanding mental health services and background checks. But he warned them to stay away from expanding waiting periods.
This feels like a bit of betrayal, because we stayed at the table and acted as fair and honest arbiters. This came at the end, the very last moment. It was a big surprise to all of us, and it hurts because we felt we were making great progress. Lives were being saved.
Trahan says after the bill was allowed to become law without the governor's signature, groups like the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine, NRA, Gun Owners of Maine, and Women for Gun Rights met and agreed they would challenge the legislation in court. While there are aspects of other laws Trahan disagrees with, the groups agreed to focus their efforts.
There is no compelling state reason to make you wait to protect your home and your family. This was promoted as a waiting period to prevent suicide. Suicide is not a crime.
According to Trahan, the lawsuit will be filed in the state Superior Court, but, depending on the outcome, is likely to be appealed. Trahan says they're willing to go as far as they need in order to get this overturned.
We are preparing to take this to the U.S. Supreme Court. We feel so strongly that this is unconstitutional. It's an arbitrary obstacle to the law-abiding citizens of the state, that we will take it as far as it needs to go.
There's a common saying that as goes Maine, so goes the nation. Trahan says if the case does make it to the Supreme Court, it could have nationwide impacts.
If this is overturned, every state in the nation that has waiting periods will have to have theirs overturned as well.
We reached out to the governor's office with a request for interview or comment and did not receive a response. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard with ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
One of the state's largest mental and behavioral health service providers has announced it will be closing 2 children's residential care facilities and laying off more than 60 employees. Spurwink offers services to people with intellectual disabilities, substance use disorder, and foster care services, as well as contracting with schools to provide special services for students. The Maine Department of Labor says they were notified last week of the impending layoffs. Maine DHHS says they're working with Spurwink to support care coordination for children and youth impacted by the closure. Spurwink officials declined to be interviewed but issued the following statement saying, quote, "The closure impacts only 2 child residential facilities at the Chelsea location, not our special purpose private school at that location or other programs in the region. Our goal is for most of the impacted staff to have a new position with Spurwink. The reason for the closure is due to workforce and funding challenges," end quote. Spurwink officials did not respond to requests for comment on when the 2 facilities will officially close, but according to the Department of Labor, it will be within the next 2 months.
Last week, the town of Monson's fire chief and several firefighters resigned following a select board meeting, leaving the future of the department unclear. Our Grace Blanchard spoke with town officials who say the safety of the community is their top priority.
Monson town officials were left in shock last week when the fire chief and 4 members of the fire department unexpectedly resigned.
On Thursday, we had a select board meeting that ended in an executive session with the fire chief, and during that executive session, the fire chief had resigned.
According to a release from the Monson Select Board, now former Chief Ryan LaPlante met with them to discuss operations and concerns about the department.
I think it was more on personal relations than anything else, and so we're basically just trying to move forward. And
the interim town manager says this is the second municipal leader to recently resign after the previous town manager left his position in March.
The chief leaving, it's kind of stirred up some things, but I think that it's safe to say that we're going in a good direction.
We reached out to former Fire Chief LaPlante, but he denied our request for comment. The interim fire chief says his priority remains the safety of this community.
I'm hoping the community and people out there realize that it's not easy today to be a firefighter.
Interim Fire Chief Terry Gaudette says they have secured coverage from other departments, but this comes during a time when stations across the state are struggling with staffing.
It's tough, 45 years of being a firefighter, and then to see this come, it was tough for me. So we just got to work together as town government and fire department, and they got my support, and I will work with them every way I can to make this work. So.
In Monson, Grace Blanchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Herman Town Council has officially accepted the resignation of Chris McLaughlin, the vice chair of the town's school committee. According to Herman Town manager Josh Berry, the council bears responsibility of accepting McLaughlin's resignation due to elections and votes going through the clerk's office. McLaughlin's term will end June 1st, though some say they still have questions.
He said tonight that his resignation was as of June 1st. We tried to get some clarification on what that means. Will he still be there at the meeting next week? Is he going to still serve until then? We are in the process of hiring a superintendent, so there's some questions about that. I guess that's to be seen.
There was no vote against McLaughlin's resignation from the town council.
Millions of dollars in federal funding are coming to Maine to help replace lead pipes. The $28 million in funding comes from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as part of an effort to protect public health and deliver safe drinking water. According to a statement from the EPA, lead can cause a range of serious health impacts, including irreversible harm to brain development in children. EPA Regional Administrator David Cash says, quote, "Our goal is simple yet essential to assure that everyone has clean, safe drinking water. That's why identifying and replacing lead service lines is crucial. It can protect our communities, especially the most vulnerable, from lead exposure. New England has some of the oldest housing stock in the country, and no one, no matter where they live, should have to worry about lead in their drinking water and what comes out of the tap," end quote.
In other news today, in a hearing of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, Senator Angus King commended Department of Interior Secretary Deb Haaland on her department's decision to hear outcry from Mainers on the impacts of offshore wind leasing in high-traffic fishing zones. Take a listen.
What I want to compliment you on is listening to the people of Maine, listening to our congressional delegation, and taking those lease areas out of what's called Lobster Management Area 1. That was important to us as we pursue our offshore wind goals, that they be done compatibly and responsibly with regard to our important fisheries. So the fact that the department removed potential lease sites from Lobster Management 1 is a big deal in Maine, and I want to express appreciation to the department for that.
Well, Senator King did go on to press the secretary on funding for maintenance budgets for America's national parks after the release of what King calls a lackluster fiscal year 2025 budget.
Senator Susan Collins advocated for more federal support for Maine veterans' homes during a budget request hearing. During the hearing to review next year's budget requests for the Department of Veterans Affairs, Senator Collins questioned VA Secretary Dennis McDonough on the need to support veterans in Maine, particularly in rural areas. She stated that veterans' homes in Maine are facing financial challenges.
And the veterans' homes in Maine, as is true across the country, are struggling financially. What more can be done at the federal level to prevent closures or reductions in beds?
VA Secretary McDonough committed to working with Senator Collins to improve care and transportation for veterans.
Well, if you sustained damage during one of Maine's recent severe storms, you are certainly not alone. Johnny Maffey caught up with FEMA ahead of an important deadline to apply for financial assistance.
The deadline to apply for financial assistance with FEMA for storms that happened between January 9th and January 13th is coming up in less than a few weeks on May 20th. And here at Higgins Beach, we know it wasn't just these houses on the coast, but even inland too sustained some damage. So it doesn't matter when that damage happened as long as it was between the 9th and the 13th. Now, there are different ways to apply. You can head to disasterassistance.gov, or you can also call the number at the bottom of your screen, 1-800-621-FEMA. And there are also 4 in-person locations as well. Now, an inspector will reach out to you with a code you get after you apply and take a look at the damage or even some pictures. And as for the pictures, well, FEMA spokesperson Deanna Frazier says those can be important.
Before and after pictures during this storm are very helpful to the inspectors, that is for sure. And so if you are preparing for the next disaster, that's something that you definitely want to keep in mind, that you should have photos of the interior and the exterior of your home, including items that you own, your living room set, your beds.
Now, Frazier adds to also watch out for scammers. The inspectors that'll come to your house will be wearing a FEMA logo, and they won't be asking for your social security number, and they will have that code, like I mentioned. And again, the deadline is May 20th.
All right, so some important information there. So many people sustained damage during that round of storms.
Yeah, we've heard so much about that in recent months. It's heartbreaking to hear, what everyone has been going through. And, it's always disappointing to hear that, of course, scammers have found a way to sort of glom on and make everything more complicated.
Yeah, somehow they always do at the worst times.
They always do at the worst time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of outdoor conditions and kind of the weather that we've been enduring, this week it's been pretty good.
It has.
Rain coming down in, sort of measured amounts.
Yeah, and today was an example of that. Started out pretty wet, but things did clear up for a good chunk of the day.
Which is good.
Yeah, we'll take that for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and get a first check of our forecast.
Thank you so much. Our first weather tonight is brought to you by Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, providing relief to people who are experiencing issues with pain, dizziness, and balance. Physical is spelled different because they are different, and a different looking day out there today. No more sunshine. We did see that rain in the region. Hopefully folks had your umbrellas, but now things are winding down. Visibilities are starting to improve as well. We're back up to around 7-8 miles here in town. All over the region, we're up at around 8 to 10 miles in general, though. The winds are pretty calm as well, still continuing to stick around on the light end. Bar Harbor, you're pretty much at 0 for winds for right now. Light winds overnight tonight, though, as temperatures cool off, hovering in those lower 40s.
All righty, Conrad, thank you.
And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, a former Bangor Inn is being transformed in an effort to help the homeless.
And a new health center in Brewer celebrating its grand opening. Those stories and more local news when we come back.
Quality Jewelers is offering free gemstones towards the purchase of your mother-style jewelry. Stop in any time between now and Mother's Day to browse our vast selection of gifts for mom. Celebrate her with us here at Quality Jewelers. Quality Jewelers, locally owned and operated, Penobscot Plaza, Bangor.
When is my allergy spray gonna kick in?
You need Astapro.
Astapro?
It's faster, bro. 8 times faster than Flonase.
It's faster, bro.
It's faster, bro.
It's faster, bro.
It's mom to you.
Astapro starts working in 30 minutes. Astapro and go.
Our biggest challenge? Uncertainty. Hidden fees, surcharges. Who knows what to expect?
Turn shipping to your advantage.
Keep it simple with clear upfront pricing.
With USPS Ground Advantage.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home, chances are you have a lot of questions. Norm Prouty has answers. Learn some tips and tricks and explore some beautiful new homes on the market. The Norm Prouty and Donnell Baker Real Estate Show, Sunday mornings at 8:30 on Fox 22.
Hi, I'm Angelina Mucci.
And I'm Andy Mucci of Family Fun Bowling Center.
When we want to know the weather, we go to foxbangor.com.
Celebrating our 50th anniversary year, Family Fun Bowling Center has 20 lanes of 10-pin bowling at its best.
Finding the right vehicle for you and your family can be a daunting task. At Varney Buick GMC, our expert staff is here to make the journey as painless as possible. Our goal is to get you and your family in a vehicle that will best fit into your lifestyle. Communication is key, and our team makes sure to be completely transparent throughout the process, informing you on all of your options. Come experience Varney value, only at Varney Buick GMC.
The baddest superstars on the planet are unleashed in prime time. From the heavens! All new Friday Night SmackDown at 8/7 Central on Fox.
Quality Jewelers is offering free gemstones towards the purchase of your mother's style jewelry. Stop in anytime between now and Mother's Day to browse our vast selection of gifts for mom. Celebrate her with us here at Quality Jewelers. Quality Jewelers, locally owned and operated, Penobscot Plaza, Bangor.
Hello, I'm Emma Smith, and coming up on Good Morning Maine, we'll get the latest from court on the sentencing of a Liberty man who has been convicted of raping a juvenile. And a woman who was sentenced for a brutal killing in Washington County is filing a motion for a new trial. These stories from court and much more news coming up on Good Morning Maine.
A former Bangor Inn is being transformed into affordable housing for Bangor's homeless population. Our Callie Warren explains.
The site of the Pine Tree Inn is getting transformed into permanent, supportive housing. The building will provide 41 affordable units of independent housing with 24/7 support. The initiative utilizes local and state funding and is spearheaded by Maine-based nonprofit Penquis.
The people at Penquis came to work with us to say, hey, there's this use that we want to do that's called permanent supportive housing. It gives people the support that they need to be able to live independently, live indoors, and be safe.
The building is located directly across the street from an encampment currently holding dozens of unhoused people. Penquis says they are following a housing first model to give tenants stable living spaces.
Housing first is a concept where individuals experiencing homelessness should primarily be provided with housing and then connected with broader services. It's going to play a key piece in decreasing the amount of individuals experiencing homelessness in Bangor and the surrounding communities.
The building will be known as Teresa's Place in honor of Teresa Knowles, who worked at Penquis to relieve poverty in Maine. Teresa's Place is set to open in the fall so that future tenants have a warm, safe place to stay for the winter. In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Riverlight Restorative Health in Brewer celebrated its official grand opening today with a ribbon cutting and a Key to the City presentation. The business offers wellness solutions through IV health, weight loss aids, and men's health. Since 2021, when the business opened in a small room at 191 South Main Street, they've seen great growth through referral and word of mouth. The business offers guidance for everything from dehydration to nutrient supplements.
For patients who are vitamin depleted or tired or who need immune boosts, who might have COVID or the stomach bug, anything like that. And so we will rehydrate patients.
Brewer officials acknowledged the business with a Key to the City because of the health center's commitment to enhancing community wellness.
And this week, that business will be donating 10% of their proceeds to the Christine B. Foundation, a local organization dedicated to supporting individuals affected by cancer. Meanwhile, leaders of a Lewiston nonprofit say they'll have to close in June if something can't be done to stop flooding. Mal Meyer took the issue to state and turnpike officials and has more.
I wake up in the night worried constantly.
Lisa Rodriguez dreads days like these.
It rained this morning. Guess what I did? I drove right up back there to make sure we hadn't gotten flooded again.
This was in March.
Thank God he put the sandbags there this time.
The Share Center keeps valuable items out of landfills and puts them into the hands of teachers, families, and children who need them. Because of this, they can't take donations.
I've had to put everything on pallets.
The building's owner tells us he's been working with the city and has taken steps to try and help. Have you reached out directly to the city to get answers about why this is happening?
I have.
In a statement, the city said the runoff issue starts from the turnpike, and a neighboring building was built to prepare for stormwater flows. We called the Turnpike Authority, which wasn't aware of the issue. After our call, they discovered a partially blocked culvert under abandoned railroad tracks. They believe that's what's contributing to the backups.
It's probably rushing right inside our doors.
The city says it can't address this issue since a pipe is privately owned, so it needs to be repaired or replaced by the property owner.
We can't stay in this building with the risk of flooding at a moment's notice.
Rodriguez says they're going to need a lot of help if they have to move. If you're not able to find a spot, could that be the end of...
This could be the end of Share Center. It'll be a very sad day for so many people.
And again, that was Mal Meyer reporting. And coming up on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, the United States pushes for a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas in order to release more hostages.
And intelligence officials meet to discuss the greatest threats facing the country. All of those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
And Doug.
Hello, Ghostbusters. It's Doug of Doug and Limu. We help people customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. Anyway, we got a bit of a situation here. Sure, I can hold. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, in theaters now.
Make your boating experience even better with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. One of the best choices you can make to protect your boat and maintain your boating lifestyle. A Shoremaster boat lift makes cleaning your boat easier and provides more convenient access too. Hammond Lumber has all the accessories you need, from lighting packages and canopies to motor systems, including Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper Winch. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
Introducing Tailwaggers Mobile Pet Grooming. We bring the salon to your doorstep. With Tailwaggers, your furry friend receives top-notch care and attention from baths, haircuts, and nail trimming. We do it all. Say goodbye to stressful trips to the groomer. Tailwaggers makes grooming a breeze. Tailwaggers Mobile Pet Grooming, where convenience meets quality. Book your appointment today because your pet deserves the best.
Who has the best kept secret in Penobscot County?
We do!
Welcome to Maple Lane Farms, a fifth-generation family farm that's committed to providing you with the best quality products. Our farm-raised local and sustainable meat is flash frozen to lock in the freshness and natural flavors. Experience the top-notch quality of our meat that's naturally raised without any antibiotics or hormones. Get the best of both worlds, quality and affordability. Try Maple Lane Farms today, the candy store for the carnivore.
Thousands of kids like Grayson and Elliot receive care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center each year. You can help them by supporting the Summer Classic for Maine Kids. This golf tournament will help kids receive care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center by raising funds to ensure that health care is available today, tomorrow, and in the years ahead. Every dollar raised helps kids get back to the business of being kids. For more information about the tournament and how to register, please visit northernlight.org/forkids.
If you've been injured, call Joe, the law offices of Joe Bornstein.
We're now getting an idea of when officials in Baltimore think they'll replace the Francis Scott Key Bridge more than a month after a ship crashed into it, causing it to collapse. Fox's Connor Hansen has the latest on the race to rebuild the crucial infrastructure.
Ever since the shocking collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, one of the most pressing questions has been, how long will it take to rebuild? Officials in Maryland now say it could take more than 4 years and estimate it will cost nearly $2 billion.
We are putting forward every
every single asset that we have at our disposal.
The update follows news Wednesday that the body of a fifth worker killed in the collapse was found. 49-year-old Miguel Angel Luna Gonzalez was inside a red pickup truck underneath the wreckage. One more person is still missing.
Every layer of the wreckage removed brings us closer to getting those goals done. First, bringing closure to those families, and then obviously reopening the channel.
And now the broker for the bridge's insurance policy says $350 million will be paid out to the state of Maryland. It's expected to be the first of several payments. Still lodged in the rubble is the near 1,000-foot cargo ship, the Dolly. While some shipping traffic has been reopened, officials hope to remove the Dolly by mid-May, a highly complicated task.
In total, we have lifted 182 containers from the Dolly.
Officials say they've brought in the largest hydraulic grabbing tool in the country to work alongside one of the area's largest cranes. This week, crews were preparing for a controlled demolition to break down and remove the largest remaining piece of the collapsed bridge. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
The U.S. is increasing pressure on Hamas to accept the latest ceasefire proposal. There is, however, a key sticking point. Fox's Jeff Paul has the latest from Tel Aviv.
As the war in Gaza nears 7 months, a new hostage deal might be on the horizon. Hamas will reportedly send a delegation to Egypt, releasing a statement saying its leader, Ismail Haniyeh, had affirmed the group's positive spirit in studying the ceasefire proposal. The comments come on the heels of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to the region, his 7th since the start of the war in October. After stops in Saudi Arabia and Jordan, Blinken landed in Israel. While speaking directly to families of hostages, Blinken pressured Hamas to accept Israel's latest offer.
There is a very strong proposal on the table right now. Hamas needs to say yes and needs to get this done. That is our determination, and we will not rest, we will not stop until you're reunited with your loved ones.
Blinken didn't reveal the details of the proposed deal, but it could look similar to November's agreement, which involved an exchange of hostages for Palestinian prisoners and a pause in the fighting. The potential ceasefire comes at a critical time as Israel prepares to move ground troops into the southern city of Rafah in Gaza. That's where more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering from the fighting. Despite Blinken reaffirming the U.S. cannot support a major ground operation in Rafah, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it will happen eventually.
We will do what is necessary in order to win and overcome our enemies, including in Rafah, in order to secure our future.
As it stands, negotiations are ongoing. However, one hurdle getting in the way, Hamas demanding not only a full withdrawal of Israeli troops, but a permanent ceasefire. That runs counter to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying in order to end the war, they have to eliminate Hamas by going into Rafah. In Tel Aviv, Israel, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
There remains conflict between police and demonstrators on college and university campuses. Law enforcement officers cleared up an encampment at UCLA, and protesters and police clashed in Portland, Oregon. Fox's Christina Coleman is on the UCLA campus with the latest.
Anarchy at Portland State University as anti-Israel protesters charged at police, rushing officers who were clearing the school's library occupied by demonstrators since Monday. At least a dozen arrests were made. 4 of those were not students at the school. Portland police say the library has now been cleared, noting they found what appear to be improvised weapons, including ball bearings and DIY armor. None of these were used on police. Overnight at UCLA, more than 200 anti-Israel protesters were arrested after law enforcement stormed the encampment, dismantling barriers, taking down tents, and unmasking demonstrators who are now potentially facing multiple charges.
Failure to disperse, not obeying officers' commands, trespassing.
The officers have pushed back and pushed through the encampment using tear gas, using flash bombs. As far as I'm aware, they had snipers on voice. It's a complete overreaction.
On Wednesday, 20 arrests were made at Tulane University. Protesters at Dartmouth clashed with officers in riot gear, and 4 demonstrators were arrested at Yale. Today, at the University of Chicago, protesters laid out a long list of demands that extend beyond the conflict in Israel and Gaza.
We also demand that Chicago divest from all interrelated forces of death and violence into which it is currently complicit, especially fossil fuel production.
Counter-protests continue as well. At UPenn, 1 man was arrested for spraying stink spray on protester tents. But in Alabama, some agreement between both sides as pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian demonstrators joined together in a profane anti-Joe Biden chant. A total of 210 people were arrested during the protests here at UCLA since Wednesday night, according to LAPD, for failure to disperse. Reporting in Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
The nation's top intelligence chiefs were on Capitol Hill today answering questions about the 2024 annual threat assessment report released nearly 2 months ago by lawmakers. Fox's Jennifer Griffin has the latest on what was said in the hearing.
Today, the United States faces an increasingly complex and interconnected threat environment characterized by really 3 categories of challenges.
In testimony before the Senate Armed Services Committee, U.S. intelligence chiefs outlined the greatest threats facing the United States today. On the list, accelerating competition with major authoritarian powers or those actively working to undermine rules-based order for trade, commerce, and information. More intense and unpredictable challenges, including cybersecurity, terrorism, climate change, narcotics trafficking, and health security, as well as regional and localized tensions such as what's happening today in Gaza and Ukraine.
And all 3 categories are affected by trends in new and emerging technologies, environmental changes, and economic strain that is stoking instability, making it that much more challenging for us to forecast developments and their implications.
Haynes also warned of an alarming rise in cyber attacks, up 74% in 2023.
It seems the problem is getting worse.
Haynes and the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency were also asked to weigh in on what's happening on college campuses and a rise in anti-Israel demonstrations.
Do you have any intel of outside countries or groups funding some of these violent protests that are going on around the country?
I don't believe we've seen exactly what you're asking, but I would anticipate the environment would be an opportunity that others would take advantage of.
As for China, lawmakers were warned by the nation's intelligence chiefs that Beijing intends to divide the U.S. from its allies. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, an associate professor at Husson University receives national recognition for his research.
And in sports, MCI softball is 6-1 to start the season, all with a new head coach and new positions for many players. We'll be right back.
The Houston Roughnecks take on A.J. McCarron and the St. Louis Battle. Touchdown! The United Football League, Saturday 3 Eastern on Fox.
Do you have a wet basement, nasty crawl space, settling foundation, sinking concrete, or clogged gutters? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basement-y. For over 30 years, thousands of homeowners throughout Maine and southeastern New Hampshire have trusted TC Hafford. Basement waterproofing, crawl space repair, stabilizing foundations, concrete leveling, and gutter installation. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems for all things basement-y.
Transform your surroundings with Paramount Paving, located in Bangor. They are your paving and seal coating experts. Whether it's residential maintenance to full commercial projects, Paramount Paving delivers quality that lasts. Book before June 1st and enjoy a $250 Visa gift card upon completion of your next paving project. Call us today at 602-8931 or visit us at ParamountPavingLLC.com. Paramount Paving, setting the standard for excellence. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law is helping us save more money on prescription drugs. Maybe you can save too. With Medicare's Extra Help program, our drug premiums are zero, and our out-of-pocket costs are low.
I enrolled and I'm saving money. If you're single and make less than $23,000 a year, or are a married couple making less than $31,000, you may qualify and save, even if you don't think you qualify. It pays to find out.
Go to ssa.gov/extrahelp.
Refine, your local expert in window and door installation, carpentry repairs, and commercial facilities management. At Refine, we're proud to offer Maine-made Paradigm windows crafted with care and precision to ensure quality and durability like no other. From quaint cottages to bustling businesses, let us refine your space with our signature Maine-made touch. Trust Refine to exceed your expectations every time. Contact us today and let Maine craftsmanship elevate your home or business. Rise with Refine.
Mesothelioma is more than a ravaging illness. It is a disease that can ruin a family's finances and is never the victim's fault. The law offices of Joe Bornstein has been fighting and winning for Maine families for nearly 50 years, and we've collected over $500 million for injured Mainers. If you or a loved one is a victim of mesothelioma or asbestos-related lung cancer, call Joe today for a free case evaluation and to learn about your family's legal rights. Dial 207-CALL-JOE or online at joebornstein.com.
Efforts to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug press on. This comes as some members of Congress call for an end to the federal ban on cannabis. Fox's Kevin Cork takes a closer look at the process and its possible effects.
The tides could be changing when it comes to cannabis. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration is advancing a proposal to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug.
Marijuana is currently classified as a Schedule I drug alongside heroin and LSD. The proposal would move it to Schedule III alongside ketamine and anabolic steroids.
The plan still needs to be reviewed by the White House Office of Management and Budget before going through a period of public comment and review from an administration judge.
Still, it would recognize the medical uses of cannabis, but it would not legalize marijuana outright for recreational use.
If the proposal goes through, it could have big impacts for cannabis businesses. Currently, federal tax rules bar marijuana companies from writing off expenses like rent and payroll. They also can face tax rates of 70% or more. Reclassifying marijuana as a Schedule III drug could reduce some of those financial burdens. This comes as several Democratic senators introduced the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act Wednesday.
Our legislation will finally remove marijuana from the federal list of controlled substances. It will expunge the criminal records of so many Americans with low-level marijuana offenses.
Reclassifying marijuana could also advance science, with Schedule III drugs easier for researchers to use in authorized clinical studies where participants are given such substances. I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
Johnson & Johnson is offering to pay nearly $6.5 billion to settle tens of thousands of talc cancer lawsuits. If 75% of the lawsuits petitioners approve the deal, the company says it may file something called prepackaged Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Johnson & Johnson says it would pay the settlement over 25 years. The proposed settlement is intended to resolve the lawsuits that allege the company's baby powder and other talc-based products cause ovarian cancer. Johnson & Johnson says, quote, none of the talc-related claims against it have merit, end quote. Ovarian cancer claims make up 99% of the talc-related lawsuits that have been filed against the company.
All right, and we talked about it a little bit earlier about the forecast and a little bit of a dreary day today, but it sounds like maybe better days are to come.
Perhaps the full 5-day is coming up.
And another round of showers out there for today, but finally things are starting to calm down. The rain is starting to wind down as well, but I am tracking a little bit more rain back in the forecast. When? I'll have the timing and more coming up.
Feeling Claritin Clear is like
Is she letting her imagination run wild even though she has allergies? Yeah.
HCM is a serious heart condition affecting as many as 1 in 200 people. Like me.
And me. I was still short of breath on my beta blocker.
So I talked to my cardiologist.
And asked about treatment advances in HCM.
That talk made a real difference.
It gave me new hope.
Talk to your cardiologist today. Visit hcmrealtalk.com to learn more.
us.
The magma chamber.
This isn't us, is it? When did we get so connected to our devices and so disconnected from each other?
She's not answering.
What?
And when our phones have turned us into this,
LT,
what do you do when you're a company that sells them?
we gotta fix this.
It's time to find what we're missing. Join us in taking a break from our devices. Take the phones down for 5 challenge for 5 days, 5 hours, or even just 5 minutes.
Feels good.
And let's find us again. U.S. Cellular. Built for us.
Introducing Hood New England Creamery. Made with premium Hood milk and cream and overloaded with the good stuff. New England Creamery. From Hood for New England. Try all 10 flavors.
Jim Small Engine, Snow's Corner Road, Arlington brings years of experience and a large parts inventory to make your engine as good as new. Lawnmowers, chainsaws, rototillers, wood splitters, generators, blowers, trimmers, and power washers will leave Jim Small Engines fully repaired, shiny clean, and ready to go. Jim Small Engines is an authorized dealer for these top brands and sells a wide array of used engines as well as new and used parts and accessories. Call Jim Small Engines at 825-3527. Check their website and like them on Facebook.
The Quiz with Balls, series premiere Tuesday, May 28th on Fox.
And welcome back, folks. Our main weather tonight is brought to you by Refine Contractors. Refine, your local expert in window and door installation, carpentry, repairs, and commercial facilities management. Give them a call today. Rise with Refine. And taking a look at our radar, more rain. Still starting to calm down for now. Things are starting to wind down. And just some lingering sprinkles are still in the region. Overall, though, things are going to continue to improve into the overnight hours. Not much of improvement down south. Once again, some severe weather pretty much stretching from Louisiana up north into St. Louis, but things are definitely a lot calmer than what they were just several days ago with a bunch of tornadoes. Over 100 confirmed tornadoes over the weekend. What an outbreak. For us, though, we're going to continue to wind down. Things are going to improve by tomorrow, though. The weather is going to be nice by Saturday once again. Just a few passing clouds here and there. In general, though, most of this showing up on the radar is Virga, precipitation that is falling from the clouds but not quite reaching the ground, as we are going to have a little bit more dry air. Now, high temperatures, though, earlier today, well below average all over the area. 54 degrees here in town, 51 in Bar Harbor, 40s in Rockland, and then up north into pretty much Augusta, and then same story into Waterville. So not a good looking day. Greenville, same story, upper 40s for you. Definitely a cooler looking day. Now, the oceans are still very chilly. If you want to do a polar plunge, probably good idea to be safe. Go with somebody, but look at these ocean temperatures. Still in the 40s right now. Buoys are showing that if the winds are blowing, of course, off the ocean like this, then we are going to get those 40s right at the coast. That's why the coast, like Bar Harbor, Machias, Rockland, you've been pretty much in the 40s and some lower 50s in some spots the last several days. Temperature-wise, though, bigger improvements on the way. Much, much better temperatures and warmer, of course. Our average is around 61. Tomorrow into Saturday, closer to average, a bit cooler by Sunday, and then whoop, right back up near 70. Monday into Tuesday, ahead of a little bit more cooler air. Back in the forecast by middle of next week. Now, for tonight, though, we are looking at those upper 30s, rain showers early, and then some decrease in clouds mainly after midnight. For tomorrow, though, look at this. Wow. 63 degrees as a high temperature, mostly sunny early, and then we will see some afternoon increasing clouds mainly after 2 p.m. Our extended forecast outlook does show another good-looking day on Saturday. Look at Cinco de Mayo on Sunday. More chances of rain. Temperature-wise, though, a bit cooler. Back in those mid-50s, and once again, upper 60s making a return by Monday. By Tuesday, though, we might possibly be tapping into some 70s.
All righty, Conrad, thank you.
All right, and sports is coming up next. Stay with us.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are. in Maine.
Want to leave works all day so I can keep working my magic. Just want to leave. 12 hours of uninterrupted pain relief. Aleve, who do you take it for? And for fast topical pain relief, try Aleve X.
What do heavy rain, extreme heat, and flying lumber all have in common? They're just a few of the things we use to test our replacement windows. At Renewal by Andersen, we put our windows through the worst because your home deserves the best. Renewal by Andersen acclaimed custom replacement windows. Call or visit us online today to get some incredible savings. Affordable financing, too.
Toyota has more hybrid all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive models than any other brand, like the RAV4 Hybrid with up to a 566-mile total driving range. See your New England Toyota dealer, your hybrid all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Staying healthy is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Eat healthy foods. 2. Get moving with daily exercise. And 3. Keep up to date on your vaccines. From childhood through your senior year, staying current will protect you from viruses currently circulating across the country that could be dangerous, like measles, hepatitis, and meningitis. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist to learn the right ones for you, because hearing the facts matters. Go to cdc.gov. A message from the Maine CDC, this station, and the Maine Association of Broadcasters.
Tonight's Sports is brought to you by Engstrom's Auto Service in Guilford. We specialize in all foreign and domestic service and alignments.
It is Game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Welcome back in, everyone. The Boston Bruins trying to close out the Toronto Maple Leafs on the road on Thursday night and advance to the second round. Bees have won 2 on the road this series already, and they're looking for a game-clinching third. This one was a good one. Rolling those highlights now. We're going to start in the first period. Time winding down. Toronto gets a chance in front with seconds left, but Jeremy Swayman comes up with the save. We're scoreless after 1. Right off the bat in the first minute, and the Leafs are at the doorstep again. But again, Swayman making the save, and we are still scoreless. Last minute of the second now. William Nylander with the puck finds some space and fires. That's deflected, and that goes in. The Bruins trail 1-0 heading into the third. In the third, Bruins with a great chance here, but they just can't get it done. They had 3 shots, but Joseph Woll stonewalling them. And then William Nylander again would finish the job here. He would beat Swayman 1-on-1 late. Leafs win 2-0 Game 7 on Saturday night. All right, let's go to the softball diamond now, where MCI is 6-1 to start the year. The Huskies are embracing the new while keeping their old coach always on their minds. Ryan Sudol has more.
The team's come together, working really hard, and it's definitely well-deserved for all the work everyone's put in.
The Huskies definitely have some bite. MCI softball is out to a 6-1 start, their best in well over a decade.
It feels good. It's a really great start, like motivational-wise. We want to keep going upward.
They have overcome a lot of adaptation in the past 8 weeks.
And that's why the start is all the more impressive. For starters, the team has had to adjust to a brand new head coach, Erica Rock. But it's been pretty seamless for both sides.
She has such great knowledge in the sport, and she's been teaching kind of the younger girls stuff they haven't been taught yet, and I think that was key to the success in the first few weeks.
I have a great group of girls who has made the transition pretty easy.
On the diamond, the transition was a bit more drastic. All but 2 players have changed positions from last year. The Huskies welcomed the challenge for the good of the squad.
We had a lot of preseason games, and it was definitely good to get to try everything out so that when we started in the regular season, we were able to have it all figured out.
We're willing to do what's best for the team, even if that's not necessarily the position we want to play. The work ethic is just phenomenal.
But just as huge of a part of the season as their play is who the Huskies are playing for. Former head coach Woody Moore is home and recovering from an aneurysm he suffered in January.
Every single time I go out on the field, I'm thinking about him, and he's been a really big part of my life.
He was always around campus. They had very personal relationships with him, not only from softball, but from everything.
Knowing Coach Moore's impacts on their prior successes makes the Huskies even more committed to winning right now.
I wouldn't be playing softball my senior year if he didn't come up to me freshman year and ask me to play for him. I want to do this for him. I want to do the best I can for him. He's definitely played a huge role in my success and a lot of the other girls' successes, and we wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't for him.
In Pittsfield, I'm Ryan Sudol, ABC 7, Fox 22 Sports.
Thanks for that, Ryan. Let's go to the Garden again on Wednesday night. The Boston Celtics taking down the Miami Heat in Game 5 of the first round, putting away Miami and advancing to the Eastern Conference semis. It was bittersweet, though, because the last game of the first round meant the last game carried on NBC Sports Boston, meaning it was longtime play-by-play announcer Mike Gorman's last game of his career. Gorman has been the voice of the Celtics for 43 years, since 1981. He and Tommy Heinsohn being in our living rooms for so many winters, and then Brian Scalabrine in the last few years, and it's going to be a lot different next year and the rest of the way this year without Mike on the call. And here were his final words from his final game.
Well, I don't know what to say, really. For the past 45 years, it's been an honor and my distinct pleasure to have been the voice of the Boston Celtics. I'll be forever grateful to this ownership for treating my family as they treat their own, and special thanks to all who welcomed Tommy, Scal, and me into your homes all winter long. When there was a cold night going on outside, you turned us on, and that just couldn't have been better. There's no place I would rather have been. So, Boston, thank you. Good night.
Good night, Mike. Also, Jack Edwards' last call tonight. He didn't get to go out on a high note like Mike did. Let's go to the baseball diamond now. Maine baseball opening up a weekend series on the road against the Retrievers from UMBC. Picking this one up in the fourth inning, Maine trailing 1-0, runner on first for UMBC's Derek Paris. He's going to crush one to left field. That is going to get to the wall, and Danny Wyatt is going to come all the way around from first to score, and it is 2-0. Paris on third now. Dawson Barkani up. He's going to rip one over the second baseman. That's going to bring in the run from third. Retrievers, they take a 3-0 lead. 7-0 now, and to the seventh we go. Jack Friend on third for Jeremiah Jenkins. Gets on top of this one, rips a liner to right field. Friend is going to come in to score. Maine is on the board. 7-1 now, but that is all they could do. Colin Plant grounds out to the right side. First baseman to pitcher. That's the third out of the ninth inning. Retrievers win 7-1. And that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
It's your journey. Own every mile in the new Hyundai Elantra with America's best warranty. Get up to $1,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Elantra. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do. Day in and day out. Making milk you can trust. With no artificial growth hormones. So you can feel good about Hood.
Always dry scoop before you run. Listen to me. The hot dog diet got me shredded.
It's time we listen to science. One A Day is formulated with key nutrients to support whole body health. One A Day. Science that matters.
Who has the best kept secret in Penobscot County?
We do!
Welcome to Maple Lane Farms, a fifth-generation family farm that's committed to providing you with the best quality products. Our farm-raised local and sustainable meat is flash frozen to lock in the freshness and natural flavors. Experience the top-notch quality of our meat that's naturally raised without any antibiotics or hormones. Get the best of both worlds, quality and affordability. Try Maple Lane Farms today, the candy store for the carnivore.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate. 974-7815.
A new deck is a great, affordable way to improve your home or camp. Hammond Lumber Company can help you create the perfect deck for your outdoor space. Visit Hammond's product showroom and explore their extensive range of decking and railing options. Your Hammond sales rep will be happy to help you with your materials and design choices, and Hammond delivers from any of their 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Make this the year you enjoy that new deck you've always wanted. It starts when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
It's your journey. Own every mile in the new Hyundai Elantra with America's best warranty. Get up to $1,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Elantra. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today.
Hi, Eastern Maine. Watch 25 Words or Less with me, Meredith Vieira, weekdays at 9 a.m. after Good Morning Maine on Fox 22.
Welcome back. An Oscar winner transforms into a legendary war photographer. The life story of a comedy icon is in the works and more. Fox's Kristen Goodwin has the latest in the Hollywood Nation.
Winslet goes to war. Hauser channels a comedy icon, and Biel teams with Banks in the Hollywood Nation. Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks will play siblings for their next project. The duo will executive produce and star in Prime Video's screen adaptation of The Better Sister. The thriller series centers on estranged sisters forced to put their grievances aside when the husband of one of the sisters is found dead. Paul Walter Hauser will portray late comedy legend Chris Farley in an upcoming biopic for New Line Cinema. The film chronicles the life and career of the Saturday Night Live alum who died in 1997 of a drug overdose at 33 years old. Frozen star Josh Gad will make his directorial debut on the film with SNL creator Lorne Michaels on board to produce.
Why does it matter?
Kate Winslet captures the horrors of combat in today's First Looks. The trailer for the biopic Lee features the Oscar winner as Lee Miller, a legendary war photographer who is the only female correspondent to follow the Allied troops during World War II. It arrives in theaters September 27th.
I knew I couldn't.
Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Well, finally tonight, fans of Maine-made brews and pub grub are in luck. Mason's Brewing Company has expanded to Machias. Mason's Down East officially opened to the public just over a week ago, and owner Chris Morley says the reception has been overwhelmingly positive to the point that they nearly ran out of food to serve during opening weekend and closed down temporarily to restock.
I'm ecstatic. I mean, the way the community has embraced us, it's nice to be a part of a tight-knit community in the same way that, Brewer has been very good to us, and we've become a community-based restaurant.
The eatery has since reopened and features all the familiar favorites included at the Brewer location, with the exception of a few new dishes that have a touch of what Morley calls Down East flair.
We've added lobster tails to hamburgers. We've got a couple crab specials. We have a fried haddock burger that's done in beer batter.
Mason's Down East sits at 78 Main Street in Machias, the former home of the Bluebird Ranch family restaurant, and is open Wednesday through Monday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. For more information, you can visit masonsbrewingcompany.com.
So great expansion for a beloved local business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, glad to see those types of businesses thriving.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And we've both enjoyed their fare on more than one occasion.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the fun things about them is they always like to mix up their menu a little bit.
They do.
And add a little flair in some different ways. So cool to see them doing that in their own way for the Down East location.
Yeah, I like it when they switch it up.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, folks. Well, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great night.
Good night, everyone.